this is me again, Samuel Alexander, reading from Raylan, our book in I See Things in Blue series. Um, Coincidentally, this is what happens when you don't really know what's going on and you're winging it. After talking about the rainbows, this is the third one. Well, what are the odds of that? And here we are. There are no more. There were only three. And, they were all in that teen phase of poetry writing. And we've landed, and that's the same reasons as before. So there will be a lot less descriptions of these things. Is that she's an artist, Dario is an artist, and that is why I chose this piece, and mostly because I needed to get the last rain poem somewhere, and I only had four more books, and this is the most likely one for it. So that's how we got here. There was a lot of shuffle and delete and reading through all my poems. Like, we didn't land on any of these poems in some sort of easy fashion. It took some thinking and consideration of whether I could actually sell it, not sell as in make money, but sell it and make it make sense for why they are here. So that being said, this one is called Rain, the Feeling. Rain is falling on my heart, falling hard against my chest, pounding down upon my skin, drowning me deep within, crashing against my soul, flooding my inner holes, plummeting against my eyes, hitting so hard I can't even cry, rising all around me, making me feel so sad and empty. I wish I had an umbrella to stop the rain falling on my heart. I just think that's cute. Um, and I like that it's the last one. I wish I had an umbrella for the rain falling on my heart. And I definitely, if anything describes the way that she sees Dario well, it's this one. Because his entire aura seems like everything is just falling upon him. And if he could just stop it with an umbrella, he likely would. But it just doesn't seem that easy to him. And that's where Raylan comes in, because she is definitely the aggressive friend and the mouthpiece and the hardcore, he who feels it knows it. That is her energy in life, and she's very, very unashamed and very unafraid about it. And so someone with that type of energy would definitely kind of feel this way looking at someone who's feeling this way. And so it made sense, and I just like the way it flows, because it's very heavy and it describes, the feeling of water in its varieties very well. And then it nicely kind of runs out. I wish I had an umbrella. Like a very simplistic solution to what feels like a very overwhelming circumstance. And I genuinely like that it was off that way. And I don't know, I find it very interesting revisiting these and seeing how my mind circles around the concept and how similar it is, even if not on the same level as to the way that I write now. So I genuinely enjoy all the Rain poems. Rain the Story is always hard to read because I feel like it's a very cheesy poem, but the idea of it is great enough that every time I read it, my new levels of maturity hate it less and less. But I always feel like it reads very juvenile, and I don't feel that way about Rain the Sound and Rain the Feeling, even though I wrote them all in the same space of life. But here we are, things differ. So I think it fits very well in Raylan's book. And I also feel that as a good example is that when her two friends stop talking to each other but they keep talking to her, she wishes that she could have an umbrella to just simply fix the situation. If the situation is rain, she wishes she could just wash her hands of it, but she can't because neither Gavin nor Daria refused to want to be stop being her friend. That's where I'm going with that. They refuse to stop being friends with her. She is quite literally the glue in this in this situationship, this friendship. She keeps things floating, and when Gavin is no longer talking to Daria, it's just a good example for this. It's just coming to me as I talk. Finding ways for it to fit to make it make sense, and you know, it's definitely harder to deal with Dario and his situation when Gavin isn't there. It is a two-man job, and now it's just her. And so, for the few months that this happens, I definitely feel like this is the way she would feel personally as well. That man, if I could just get a quick fix and make your friends again, my own life would be a little bit more peaceful. But they're all teens. They're all 14 when this happens. And so, and I may or may not have written this one when I was in between. Well, right, I did, in between 14 and 19. I had to write it. So it's all in that same range of emotions, both for where I was and where the characters actually are. So, yeah, it makes sense on a lot of levels. But that being said, I've gotten to the end of it. And if you've made it this far, thanks for stopping by.